All right, everybody's here. Everybody's hopping on. Welcome, welcome, welcome to just to getting started in self-storage investing with Stacy Rossetti. How is everybody doing? All right. Go ahead and do me a favor while we're getting started. Can you please put your name and where you're located in the chat? If you're one of my students, put in that you're one of my students. And we just accepted a whole bunch of awesome, amazing students into the Storage Nerds program. So I'm really excited about that. We just finished yesterday our 2-day boot camp. And honestly, the truth is like I am exhausted. From the last couple of weeks, I am exhausted. And so you guys, if I start rambling and stuff, it's just because I'm trying to think, I'm trying to think and get stuff done, but at the same time, I'm exhausted from even teaching and everything. And then all day long, I've been doing coaching calls and talking to everybody. We have one student. I don't know if he's on here or not. I just got off a coaching call with him. I don't see him on here, but we have one student. His name's Nick, and I was just talking to him. I did a coaching call with him, and I'm just so proud of him. We talked about this in the boot camp in the last 2 days at the boot camp for Storage Nerds. And also, by the way, I'm sitting in my desk today because y'all, I'm just too tired. I don't even feel like standing up. So y'all just gonna be stuck with me rambling and just going over stuff today, okay? But anyways, there's a guy, Nick. He's in our coaching program. He's been in the coaching program for a couple of months now. I say maybe 4 or 5 months, something like this. And he's been really hard looking for deals and stuff. So he finally got a storage facility under contract. And I'm so excited for him. I'm going to tell you about this deal, and it's going to be a great deal, but I'm going to tell you the backstory. Okay. So I've been teaching and coaching people how to invest in self-storage for a while. Now, what I did when I started coaching, and I'm the type of person that even when I have no idea what I'm doing, I still want to share with the world, what I'm going through, because, I'm just like an open book. I like people to, I like people to learn, learn from me, and I like to teach and stuff like this. So anyways, about 3 years ago, I started in self-storage investing around almost 5 years now. Okay. And I've been teaching and coaching people how to invest in real estate for many, many years. But, primarily for storage, I started doing one-on-one coaching. When I decided I wanted to start coaching storage investing, I did one-on-one coaching is what I did. So I didn't have a huge coaching program or anything like that, like I do now. And and actually the reason why I started coaching people on storage investing is because I had somebody come to me, and actually my very first coaching student in storage, and his name is Jude. And he really honestly, he came to me, he said, Stacy, I know you've been coaching people how to invest in real estate for a while, and I really want to learn how to invest in real estate. And he said, would you coach me, do one-on-one coaching? And I was like, okay, sure, let's do one-on-one coaching. So what we did is I taught him how, I was really basically teaching him how to wholesale. And that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to wholesale. And so I started teaching him how to do residential wholesaling. And he did exactly what we were supposed to do, right? Go out. If you know anything about residential wholesaling, you go out, you buy a list, and you mail letters out and stuff. And then you do text blasting or whatever, all the different ways that you find deals for wholesale. And and then he started mailing all these letters out and doing all this stuff. He started getting all these deals and stuff, right? He started getting all these people calling him wanting to sell their houses, and everything was going great. He was putting all these offers in. But the thing is that he couldn't get any deals under contract. I mean, he would get how residential wholesaling is just so hard, right? You put offers in, it's just so hard to get any deals under contract. And then he would get deals under contract, and the spread would be so tight that it was hard for him on the back end to even wholesale it, because when I'm a rehabber, I know I want 50 cents on the dollar or 60 cents on the dollar, the ones that know what they're doing, right? And then if you get a small spread, nobody's going to buy your deal, right? Why you don't have big huge spreads on the residential side, and it's just hard to do that. So it's like we were wholesaling for a couple of months. I mean, he was getting leads and stuff. He was getting things coming in, but it was just hard for him to actually close a deal. And I said, and I just said, like, why don't you start wholesaling storage? I can really help you to do that as well too. I'm coaching you. I might as well just show you how to do storage as well too. And so I did. I started teaching him and coaching him how to wholesale self-storage, and just, to invest in self-storage. And essentially what he did, he was like super coachable. And I love people that actually listen to me, because it works what I tell them, right? And so what he did is he started getting out and driving for storage. Right? So you guys all know, if you're hanging out with me, you know that the way that I find my deals is I drive for storage. And so he started getting out and driving for storage, and he drove, like, if you know the Georgia area, he drove from like the Atlanta area to Augusta along the 20. That's really kind of what he did. And he just went out there and started driving for storage, and he started talking to owners. And he came across somebody that wanted to sell their storage facility. And so he talked to the owner. The owner lived in Florida, and he owned a storage facility in Georgia, and the storage facility was not being run very well at all. I mean, it was being really mismanaged. And so the owner was like, yes, I do want to sell. And of course, I helped him to get that thing under contract. And that storage facility, honestly, was worth like probably $1 million. And he got it under contract for $130,000, because the owner literally just wanted to dump this thing, right? And if it was 100% full, now it was like a piece of crap, like, it wasn't a good deal. So as is, it was probably worth around like maybe $350,000. He got it under contract for $130,000. And so I was like, keep this. You have to keep this deal. You have to keep it. Otherwise, I'll buy it. Somebody's going to buy it. But it's like, if this is such a great deal, keep it. He's like, no, I want to wholesale it. I want to wholesale because I need to get like some money and make some money. So he put it under contract for $130,000, and he found, I should have bought this damn thing, honestly, but I didn't, because I wanted him to wholesale it to somebody else and get like the real effect of how the whole thing worked. But he put it under contract for $130,000, and he wholesaled it for $230,000. So he closed on it, like not even like maybe 30, 45 days later. He made $100,000 on that deal. And he just, essentially for like months, he was trying to wholesale residential property. And then it's just like all of a sudden, like it just like switched. It's just like clicked in his head. He's like, why in the hell am I wholesaling residential property when I could be doing, all he did was drive around, talk to owners, and put one under contract, and then find a buyer. And then like 2 months later, he made $100,000. So he just he went full force into buying self-storage, to wholesaling and buying self-storage. And that's what he does, is he wholesales self-storage right now. And then also he's one of the students that I talk about a lot in the coaching program, but he's one of the students that his rule is that if the owner will owner finance it to him, he will keep that facility. All right. If the owner wants to, if the owner does not want to wholesale, does not want to owner finance it to him, then he'll just wholesale it off. And he already owns several storage facilities just from owners that said, yes, I will owner finance it to you. And so he's doing really, really well. But so making a long story short, is that he was my very first student that I started coaching and doing one-on-one coaching for Storage Nerds. And he's actually really kind of one of the main reasons why Storage Nerds is around. So I just want to say thank you to Jude for at least, getting me to the point where, now I have this great coaching program and I get to meet all these people and do all these awesome deals. Now, hang on, let me just pin this so I know everybody could see me. Now, also then came along Melissa. And she was my second coaching student. This is when I was only just do one coaching student at a time, right? Can't really leverage that, right? But essentially I was doing one coaching student at a time. And I took her out and we went driving for storage. And the first time that we went driving for storage, we found an abandoned storage facility. And she just thought that was crazy. She was just like, how in the hell? She's like, I didn't even know there was a such thing as abandoned storage facilities. And I showed her that if you went out and actually looked, right? And we talked about this last Monday in the session. If you were here last Monday, if you literally look at what you're doing and visually look for storage facilities, that you'll be able to find all kinds of stuff, right? But anyway, so Melissa started getting out there and she started looking for storage facilities. And what happened is she started calling all these owners up, and in her little area. And she was up in the northeast part of Georgia is where she's at. So she called this owner, and the owner essentially said, yes, I want to sell. And he owned 2 storage facilities. All right. And he wanted to sell these storage facilities, both of them, for $750,000. Now, this was 3 years ago. I mean, honestly, the truth is over the past 3 years, a lot has happened in the storage investing world, right? Because I've only been doing this 5 years. I mean, not even 5 years. I'm going into my 5th year right now. And a lot has changed since I started like 5 years ago. Like, nobody wanted to get into storage. Like, it was like, storage, who wants to invest in that? Now everybody wants to invest in storage, right? But so in like 3 years ago, she talked to this owner, and the owner had 2 storage facilities. And actually he's a typical storage facility owner, because he said, yes, I want to sell my storage facilities, but the only way I'm going to sell my storage facilities is if you owner finance that deal to me. I mean, sorry, if I can owner finance that deal to you. All right. And she was like, owner finance. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. And he wanted, essentially what he wanted, this was his terms. He wanted $150,000 down. And he wanted, for the 2 facilities, $750,000 for both facilities. And they were roughly, I can't remember how big they were, but they're not big. I think it's a total of maybe like 200 units total, or 150 units total. Okay, something like this. And 150 to 200 units total. But so when I sat down with Melissa, and she had got all the numbers for the deal analyzer that we had, and we were trying to run numbers, and we were looking at like how much he was making versus like how much he wanted for the deal. What happened was that the price per square foot that he was charging, and actually this is a mismanaged facility. He's not charging what he should be charging, but he's a typical storage facility owner. Essentially, he's owned these facilities for like 30 years, and he's like proud that he hasn't raised the rates in years. Right. And this is a very typical mentality of a storage facility owner, especially the older ones. Right. Nothing against them. It's just that this is how they think. Right. They're just like, oh, I'm the cheapest in town and I haven't raised my rates in 10 years, And so this was exactly fits into that box. OK. But he wanted $750,000. It was not worth $750,000 at all. And in fact, he wanted to owner finance it for $750,000 with $150,000 down. So he wanted to owner finance $600,000 at 6% interest for 10 years. That's what he wanted. All right. Which sounds like, I mean, honestly, when you hear somebody that wants to like owner finance, hell yeah, I'm going to take that deal. Awesome. And we talked about this in the 2-day boot camp, is that sometimes owner financing is not a good deal, right? Because you could probably number one, go to a bank and get that cheaper, or the numbers just don't work out. So we started looking at the numbers. We really started to look at those numbers, and we ran the numbers, and like $600,000 at 6% interest for 10 years, that mortgage, if you go onto a mortgage calculator, that mortgage is like, it's like super expensive, right? And the mortgage that we were going to pay on that facility was almost equaling to like how much money what he was making every single month, right? So when you start looking at the deal and really kind of like, looking at the numbers, like I just told her, I was like, you're going to put $150,000 of your own money into a deal where you're going to be breaking even for the whole 10 years that you do it. Now you may have some and the price also was like too high. So there might be some appreciation on the back end. But the truth of the matter is that it's going to take you so long to pay that debt off. And, and you're just you're going to be like not making any money. You're going to be working, essentially you're going to be working for free. I was like, honestly, I would not do this deal. So I told her not to do it. So she didn't do it. That was almost 3 years ago. Okay. And then again, I went out driving for storage, and I just happened, and I did not know which facility it was. I just happened to be driving for storage, and I called the guy up, and he started telling me the information. And this was like 2 years ago. He's like, yeah, I want to sell my facility for $750,000. I'll owner finance at 6% interest. And I just want $150,000 down. And I talked to the guy on the phone, and I just happened to call him up. I was driving for storage and I drove by it. And I realized like that's the same exact deal. And it was like almost a year later, this guy's still trying to pitch it. He's still trying to pitch it. And I'm telling you, people, if you own storage facilities, you're getting people to call you, especially now, but even back then, on a regular basis, right? And as long as the numbers are good, people are going to buy it. If the numbers are not good, like nobody's going to buy the deal, right? So I talked to him like a year later, and he told me the exact same numbers. And I was like, that's just way too expensive. Nobody going to buy this thing. He was like, all right, well, I'm going to hold out until like somebody buys it. I'm not selling it for any cheaper. It's like in the mindset of like him, and I completely understand his mindset, because guess what? I will be in the exact same mindset when I start selling out my storage facilities, is that he just wants that income coming in every single month. A storage facility owner wants that income to come in every single month, because they don't want to pay the capital gains on their taxes. They don't want, and I'm talking to another owner that also he was like, I want this much money. I want $15,000 a month for 10 years is what he wants. Right. And a lot of storage facility owners, and a lot of people that understand the owner finance concept or the seller finance concept, that concept where you can be the bank yourself. If you hold the note, you can be the bank. Essentially, if you understand that concept, then essentially that it's all about the monthly income. That's it. And that's what he was thinking too. Like, I want to retire and I want to make X amount of money per month, every single month for the next 10 years. And that's it. That's how I'm going to retire. Right. Which is actually a very smart way to invest, honestly. And we should all be thinking about that, right? I always tell people, like, when you get older, when you're an investor and you understand what you're doing, essentially owner financing and lending are the two things that you should be doing, right? Because that's how you're going to make the most bang from your buck, right? You're making money on your money. Anyway, so after that was like 2 years ago. And then I started the Storage Nerds coaching program. And then one of my other students, Ted, about a year ago, he actually was out driving for storage, and that's the same area that he wants to be in. And he was driving for storage, and he called the owner again, same guy. And he was like, hey, I want to buy your storage facility. You interested in selling? And the guy was like, yes, I'm interested in selling. These are my terms. Right. And the same spiel, like, I want $150,000 down. It's a $750,000 thing. I'll owner finance $600,000 at 6% interest for 10 years. That's my terms. Now, remember, over the course of the last couple of years, the price per square foot of storage facilities does nothing but go up, right? It's not going down, it's going up. And this is like all during COVID. And this actually happened. He was talking to him during COVID, but honestly, the truth is like prices just going up per square foot, right? For most places, I would say, most places price per square foot is going up. So the numbers looked a little bit better last year, right? The numbers looked a little bit better. And I talked to Ted about the deal, and I was like, I know this guy. I've talked to him several times. I know this guy. I said, but the truth of the matter is, Ted, and he runs a number, and Ted is also like very good at running numbers and stuff too. And I don't know if Ted is on here. Let me see. He doesn't really get on these because he already owns storage, and he's already like looking for his third deal now. But anyways, so Ted ran the numbers, and we ran the numbers, and we really tried to figure out how we could do this. And he went and re-offered, and he did a couple different offers, and the owner was just like, no, this is my terms, 150 down, 750 purchase, and I'll owner finance the rest. And he just wouldn't budge. So now this, literally like a month ago, so then I have a new student, Nick, now. All right. We're coming around actually to the story, right? Long-winded story. But anyway, so now Nick is going out and driving for storage, right? So he's out driving this thing, and I don't know where all these people are. These people all happen to be in Georgia. I have students all over the country, but these people just happen to be in Atlanta. So I know this area really well. And so he's driving around, and he comes across the same guy. And the guy's like, yes, I want to sell. And the guy is like, look, I've been trying to sell this thing for like years now. Nobody's buying it. He's like, I'm open to new terms. So come up with something. I want to own or finance it. Come up with new terms for me. And that is the point of the story, is that it's all about timing, right? And it's all about follow-up, and it's all about like whenever that owner is ready to sell, he's ready, whenever, he's ready to sell and open to negotiation, then you can get a good deal, right? So anyway, so Nick, and we should have all been like, of course, I should have been calling him, and Ted also, because Nick called Ted, and Ted was like, that was my deal. And Nick set an appointment with me on Monday, and I was like, I know that deal. It's like I was thinking in my head, like, damn, we should have all been following up with this damn dude. Anyways, but so Nick was like, all right, here's my terms. All right. So they started talking and negotiating and stuff. And so the new terms are, the price is still $750,000. All right. The price is $750,000, but it's $100,000 down. All right. It's $100,000 down, and then owner finance the rest, a 10-year balloon amortized at over 20 years. And the interest rate is only 3%. 3%. All right. So the terms are, oh, and then another thing that's awesome about this deal, no payments for the first year on the mortgage. No payments for the first year. Nick came up with all those terms by himself. I was like, that's like the most awesome deal. So essentially the purchase price is still $750,000. Now the price per square foot in this area has doubled, because guess what? Ted, he picked up another facility like 5 minutes away. So Nick and Ted, they're going to be like competition now, right? And actually Nick called Ted, and Ted was like awesome about it. So I love our community because they're awesome, right? So Ted was like, let's run the number. I'll help you run the numbers as well together. So Nick and Ted ran the numbers, went over and ran the numbers together. Ted gave him a thumbs up. And Ted's been in the coaching program there for a while. Now he's actually kind of like what I call one of our our ambassadors of the community. So he helped him with the deal. And so Nick essentially came up with $750,000 purchase price, $100,000 down, no payments for the first year, right? And I'll tell you why in just a second. The interest rate is 3%. It's a 10-year balloon loan on a 20-year amortization schedule, right? So that number is going to come down, not only with the interest rate being half of what it is, but also that amortization. So the mortgage on that is like, I think like $1,500 or less than, it's like less than $2,000. But so now he has to come up with $100,000, right? Now he has to come up with $100,000. So he just like went to like his grandma. And he was like, hey, grandma, can I borrow $100,000? And the grandma was like, of course, yes, you're my favorite, my favorite grandson or whatever. So grandma is lending him $100,000. And so he has to pay her, but he said he could just pay her whatever she wants or whatever. And it's also 3% interest, right? And so he's going to pay her 3% interest over a couple of years. He said he's going to try to pay that off as fast as he possibly can. But whatever he can afford, he'll pay. And then the other terms are, it's a $750,000 purchase price. It's what did I say? 3% interest. So he's going to owner finance $650,000 from the owner for 10-year balloon, 20-year amortization, and a 3% interest rate. But you can just run, if anybody wants to run the numbers on that, all you do is yeah, exactly. You just go on to like a calculator on Google, right? You can say amortization calculator on Google. I'm not going to do it because my brain's just too fuzzy right now. All right. But essentially you're going to go on to the amortization calculator on Google, and then you just put that in $650,000 at 3%. It's a 10-year balloon amortized at 20 years, and figure out what that number is. If anybody wants to do that, that'd be great. Just tell us what it is. And the best part about this deal is that price per square foot over the course of the last 3 years has almost doubled, because Ted 3 years ago when I looked at that deal, a 10 by 10 was like $60 a month. And Ted is now charging like $110 a month for a 10 by 10. It's almost double that price. And so then when Ted set up a coaching call with me, we started really looking at those numbers. I was like, this is now finally a good deal. And I say, go for it. And, so he's buying his first, it's actually 2 facilities. I think they're probably about 10 minutes apart. And he's going to get those. And guess what? He's not putting any money into the deal at all. He's borrowing the money. He's leveraging other people's money is what he's doing. And he's going to pick up this facility. And over the course of, I think there's I can't remember how many units it is. It's between 150 and 200 units total. And at 200 units should really be at around 2 million, valued at $2 million. So roughly around, like, let's say $1.7 to $2 million, right? Especially now, and especially in that area, because that area is in like a very fast up and coming area. It's a secondary market. It's one of those markets that's like on the outskirts of the suburbs, right? But the suburbs are like moving up towards that area. So over the course of the next 10 years, that thing will be worth probably about 2 million. I'm guessing about $2 million, but he'll have to hold on to it for a while. But that's what you do with storage facilities, right? Is you just hold on to them. So it's an awesome deal. I saw somebody answered, held their hand up. Let me see are you asking a question? And the question, I can unmute you and you can ask your question. Dennis, ask me your question. You put your hand up. Do you have a question, Dennis? You want to ask a question, Dennis? No? Okay, I'm going to put your hand down. If you want to ask a question, you can just ask the question. If anybody has any questions, just raise your hand and I'll allow you to talk, okay? So anyways, Dennis says,
hey.
okay,
I'm sorry. I was typing it. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
I was asking, how is a 10-year balloon? I don't know what I'm very ignorant, so I apologize.
Okay, that's okay.
How is a 10-year balloon a good deal?
So if you think of purchasing a property, and actually the truth is in commercial real estate investing, right? A typical deal, if you go to a bank, this is what a typical deal looks like. It's going to be it's going to be anywhere from 15, 20, or 25-year loan. The interest rate is going to be anywhere from, like, let's say 4% now to 5%. Okay. Typically, if you have good, semi-good credit and stuff. Okay. But that 15, 20, or 25-year loan is going to have a balloon for either 5 years or 10 years. And the balloon just means that at that point in time, you're going to have to either refi it out or sell it. You have to do something with it. Okay. So whether or not it's a good deal, it doesn't matter if it's a good deal or not. That doesn't have anything to do with it. What it is about the exit strategy. So when I say a balloon, you're thinking about exit strategy, right? Right. So that's when the term of the loan ends. When I say balloon, that's the term of the loan ends. So for next deal, it is a $750,000 purchase, $100,000 down. So he's going to finance $650,000 at 3% interest for 10 years. So the loan is up in 10 years. It's a 10-year balloon, but they're going to amortize it over 20 years. So that means that you're going to pay essentially almost half, let's say, whatever the number is, of that mortgage in 10 years, but you'll owe money at the end of that 10 years. Thank you. You'll owe money at the end of that 10 years.
Okay.
And so that is what a balloon means. And that's typical in a commercial real estate transaction. All right. You'll always have a balloon, and it just depends on which year it's up in. Okay. Make sense?
Yes, yes. And can I, one more thing?
Sure.
Typically, I know it's going to obviously depend. It's all going to be relative, but typically do people, because it's either that lump sum is due, you refinance or you sell it, right? So
Yes.
people generally just take their money and say, here's the rest of it, or do they normally do something else with it?
What do you mean?
So let's say at the end of his 10-year balloon, he owed, I don't know, $400,000. Right? I have no
Okay.
idea, but just to
Okay.
throw numbers out there.
Yes.
Do people usually just say, here's $400,000, or do they do what you said and refinance and or sell it? Normally,
All
I
of
guess
the above. Like, so what you're saying, how they get, yeah, they can either just pay the loan off with cash.
Yeah.
They can refiing it out, and then just getting a whole new loan.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Or they could, what did I say the other one was?
Sell it.
Sell it. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, sell it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
get
it
it.
really just depends on really what you want to do. Do you want to keep holding on to it, or do you want to get the money? Now, when you get the money, like essentially now the question is like, when the guy sells it, when the guy pays it off, he's going to pay off, let's say the 400 grand, whatever he owes. Now this guy's going to have to pay taxes on that 400 grand, because the truth of the matter is owner financing, what it's doing is delaying your payment of your capital gains. I mean, because it's really, you only have to pay on the income that you use, right? So now he's going to get 400 grand. He's going to have to pay taxes on that. Or what he could do is he could 1031 exchange it, and then he could just roll that $400,000 into another deal.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, I'm going to mute you. Okay, just so you know. Okay. Azim, what would you like to ask?
Yeah. So 2 questions. One was about the owner financing. So you mentioned a 1031 exchange that the owner could do. Would that period only start once he receives the 400,000? Because like technically he's making the sale like right now, but then
when he actually closes on the deal and like does not have a lien on the deal or anything.
Okay, that clarifies that. And the other question I had was, could you talk more about the deal in terms of like the operations of the facility and what room there was to improve it and get the valuation up from 750 to 2 million?
Honestly, I can't remember right now. I can't remember. I have to get in there and look at the deal. I just remember the numbers that he gave me. So I can't remember exactly how many units it was. I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember anything about the deal a lot. I just remembered what he told me the terms of the owner financing was. So I know it was it was between 150 and 200 units. And it's 2 facilities. I know it's 2 facilities, and I can't remember what the breakup of each facility was. And honestly, I can't even remember what the income was on that. But it was lower. It was not what it's supposed to be. So for $750,000, you should really be making if it's valued at $750,000. As an income producing property, you should be making about, let's say maybe $5,000 a month, something like this. Let's guesstimate $5,000 to $6,000 a month, but it was probably making between $3,000 and $4,000 a month. So it was a mismanaged facility. And that's the thing too, is like you have to question and ask yourself, and we went over this a lot in the boot camp. It's like, how much would you really pay for a property if it's not producing the income that it's supposed to be, but over time that it will be, you could be the one that actually helps to produce that income. Because I did talk to Nick, and he said that it does need to do, like what he said, lipstick on a pig is what he called it. He said that it's looking pretty run down. There is somebody there that the owner pays $7 an hour to sit at that office every single day, all day, like 5 or 6 days a week, and manages it. And guess what? There's no computer. I don't know what the hell this person is doing, just sitting there with no computer. Could you imagine? And then I told Nick, I was like, you got to get this person out of there, and then what's going to happen is essentially when he closes on that deal, he's going to get handed over a stack of contracts because that person cannot like do a computer. And you need all those contracts to be in an Excel spreadsheet format, because what you're going to do is import them into your new software so that you can manage this thing virtually. I mean, essentially you can manage this thing virtually, but the owner like never goes to the facility, you know, and just like pays this lady $7 an hour, 40 hours a week. So what is that? 7 times 4 is $280 a week. So he's paying like $1,000 a month. I mean, just think about that. He's paying her $1,000 a month to get there and manage this facility. And they only take cash or check. They do not take any credit cards at all. And so on the first of the month, people just drive over, hand the cash, hand the checks. And I guess she has some sort of ledger where she's keeping track of like people just coming in and doing her thing. That's what he does. So the first of the week for her is probably kind of hectic, a little bit, people coming in, dropping off their checks and stuff or whatever. And then after that, I don't know what she's doing, sitting there and trying to manage all that. And then he probably makes like, let's say he makes $4,000 a month minus her $3,000 because he doesn't have any software, you know. And that's one thing when you talk to owners, they're going to be like, oh, we don't have any expenses. So he has no software. He has no electric. There's no utilities or anything there. There's no, like, there's really nothing. Like, there's no bills for him. There's no boots on the ground. She's the boots on the ground person. So she sweeps out the units and does whatever. So he's paying her, let's say about $1,000 a month. And then he has property and insurance. And that's the only 3 bills that he has for the entire property. Okay. So for him to net maybe $2,000 a year and not have to do anything with that property at all, he just doesn't care, you know, he doesn't care to, you know, but yeah, I don't really know that. I can't remember all the numbers. He has all that. That's his deal. So, but he should be making on like a 200 unit, let's just say 175 unit property. He should be making probably around 15 grand a month, 10 to at least. Yeah, no, 150. No, let's say 10. Let's say 10 to $12,000 a month is what he should be making on that property, and he's probably netting like 5 grand a month. So,
and for netting 5 grand a month, it's worth 750.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's based on a cap.
That's 60 grand a year.
Yeah.
If we're making about 60 grand, it's gonna be around like maybe 650 to 750 is what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
And yeah, so that's it. So anyway, and if you have any other questions, just put your hand up and I'll ask that. Did you have anything else, Azim?
No, that was it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Randy. What'd you have? Good. Go ahead. Can you talk, Randy? Are you there, Randy? I'm trying to unmute you. No? Okay, when you figure it out, let me know. I said ask to unmute, so I'm not sure.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you, yes.
All right, sorry about that.
Okay,
On the storage facilities,
yes.
I've looked at in my county, I'd looked at actually building some from the ground up.
Okay,
But if you disturb over 1 acre in my county, you have to do a retention pond and this and that. And it just seemed to be more money than I wanted to put in it at the time. My question to you is, what about portable self-storage units? Would that work in a situation like that?
I mean, first things first, like I would just kind of price out a retention pond and just see how much it is. I'm guessing, how big of a facility did you want to build?
I've got to do there. I could actually do 5 acres.
Okay, so it's 5 acres. So you're gonna have to do like, because I have like a student right now that's building, and he had to do a retention pond, and it cost him about like I think he's doing it on about 1 acre, and it cost him around I think $10,000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't, I didn't really think it was that bad,
Mhm.
So I would just kind of price it out and see how much it would actually cost too.
Okay.
Because I don't
All
really
right.
think, I don't think it's, I mean, I know people say, oh my gosh, yeah, but like, I don't think it's really that bad, honestly,
What do you think about the portable self-storage units?
So I do have a couple of students right now that are doing pods, and
Mhm.
I don't really see anything wrong with it, except for the question is, are they insurable, right? So find out within your state like what they think of like the insurance, and but like I don't, there's a lot. I see a lot more of that going on, especially in the tertiary markets. Are you in a tertiary market?
Yes, I'm at, and where we're at, yes, we're kind of in between two large cities.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would just, I would look to make sure that, like for insurance purposes, that you can insure those.
Mhm.
Right. And then just figure out for state regulation if that's okay, or your county, your regulations within the area that you're in, if that's okay to do that. But in Georgia, we're, in the Georgia, Florida area, you do see these.
One more question. If you was basing a size on a 10 by 10, how many units do you need to have to make it worthwhile?
I mean, are you going to be, I mean, that there's a lot of things that go into that, honestly. Are you going to be managing it, or you do want somebody to manage it for you?
I'd probably want somebody to manage it for me.
Then you need to probably have like 200 units.
Okay.
You have to think about it. You're going to pay somebody like 15 plus an hour
Mm-hmm.
to manage it. Okay. So
Right.
that's coming out to, I don't know what that is, like 15 times 40. So that's like, what is that? $600 a week
Mm-hmm.
times. So 2,400 times 12 is going to come out to like 50 grand. So 50
Right.
grand, 50 grand a year is going to somebody managing that.
Gotcha.
Okay. I mean, it cost us around like, it cost us, we hired our office manager, we hired Bonnie at around 200 units. And then and actually what happened is that we started her off at part-time.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do that as well too. And she worked 20 hours a week for about maybe 2 years. And that was like maybe after we got like, let's see, 2, 3, 4, maybe like 2 or 3 more storage facilities. And then I think around 5 or 6 is when now we because we buy like storage facilities that aren't very big. I mean, typically ours are like 75 to, units to like 150 units.
Mm-hmm.
And where we're at. After like the 6th one, which was probably, let me guess, like the 5th or 6th one was probably like 500 units, she went to full time.
Mm-hmm. Now, the business that I own is not far from the location that you and I are talking about.
Mhm.
Can you manage it from, maybe not on site?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like we have no on-site offices at any of our facilities, and all of our facilities except for one are at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours away from us. In fact, I have a student right now that lives in Florida and owns 2 storage facilities. I have another guy that lives in Florida in his building in Maine.
I see. Now, if you was going to do that and not have somebody managing it on site, you was going to do it yourself, with that information, what would be the minimum that you'd want to have?
Well, the thing with storage is that you never know when somebody's going to call.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, is that they're going to call you at 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you want to run these things properly, you need to answer the phone.
Sure.
And so either you're going to have to hire somebody to manage the phone and answer the phone for you, or you're going to have to do it, because you don't want to be a storage facility owner that doesn't answer the phone. Because guess what? We call storage facility owners all the time, and most of them do not answer the phone.
Mm.
Okay. Now it could be they're answering the phone because like they're full and they're like, who cares? I don't care if anybody calls me or not. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them don't answer the phone, but you want to manage this thing properly. Right.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So you need somebody to answer the phone. So that's really kind of the bulk of it. That's like the main thing, is getting somebody to answer the phone. And then, And then from there, like one facility, now the first like 90 days are going to be just utter chaos for you to get everything all set up and going and stuff. Once you get it all up and running and kind of automated and systematized, after 90 days, one storage facility, 100 units, probably takes an hour to 2 hours a week.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's why I do it. That's not bad. That's like amazing.
Do you think it would be worth 25 or 30 units? Fooling with?
I mean, I just did like a coaching call with somebody that was like looking at buying one that was 36 units, and I told him not to buy it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Because they just don't make that much money. You could do so much better on a bigger, facility. And it's the same amount of time managing 25 units, 50, 100, 200 units.
Right.
It's the same amount of time.
Well, thank you for taking my question.
Okay, good. No problem. I'm here.
All right.
Every Monday I'm here. Okay, good. Who else? Candace, you're up.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey. So quick question. I guess and maybe it comes down to the numbers. So I went to a facility today and there's already a property manager there in place. And she of course was like, hey, can I keep my job if you buy it type situation? And she of course was like, hey, I do more than just, the taking in the rent. I actually do the lawn maintenance and I sweep out the units. And so she just went over this laundry list of things that she already does. I guess it'll be for us to figure out, is it just a numbers thing as far as keeping her in that, or
It's a numbers thing. How
it's a
big
numbers
is the
thing? Okay.
facility?
So the facility, it's a total, when they bought it in 2011, it was 210 units, but they had a lot of requests for the 10 by 20. So they removed the divider. And so he was saying, so it was 210 units, is a little less now because he removed the divider.
It doesn't matter how many units. I mean, like I get that, but it's really kind of how many, like what's the square footage? So, I mean, but 200 units, like I said, is that's like to have somebody there they would be basically like the boots on the ground plus the person that manages all, like the operations person. Now that person could be the one person that, like, now what you do is you create you create like a mini portfolio around that area. So let's just say you do put that thing under contract and then you buy that thing. Then what I would do is be like, all right, that's my area. And I'm going to go out and farm all around that entire area and talk to every owner in the area and see if anybody else wants to sell. And I'd create this mini portfolio. And that person that's managing that facility is going to be the person that manages all those facilities.
Okay. And I do need to speak to you. I guess we can speak offline as far as, because of course it's one of those, hey, make me an offer. I get a call once a week, but nobody follows up with me. But if you're serious about buying, what's your offer? Type conversation. So
okay, yeah, then set up an appointment with me on for Monday, so we can talk on Monday on the coaching call. And then, or what you can do is just practice filling out the deal analyzer. You need everything that we went over this past weekend, put everything right into the deal analyzer, and then post that deal analyzer right on into the private Facebook group so that we can all take a look at it, because everybody will chime in, like all the people from beforehand and stuff too. Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Like you've already been doing that. You do a good job of posting your stuff out. So that's really I would do that as well too. But really your next step is you need to fill that deal analyzer out so that we can look at it. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, good. Okay. We got a time for, let's see, Matt, you're up. Give me a question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, Matt was the one that I talked to him about the 36 units. I was like, I would not do this deal. Now, what happened with that one?
Nothing yet. I mean,
Okay.
I'm asking some more questions, but we'll see what happens.
I
But
think
I
it's
was
just
going to
too
ask.
small.
Yeah, I would, but I can build on it. So I could triple it, quadruple it potentially.
You
We'll
have
see.
to build on it. You'll have to build on
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Make it worth my time. But
Okay.
my question was, as I look around at a lot of these, I see a ton of these U-Hauls in like businesses in place. That sounds kind of like a pain. Is that kind of normal for the storage units to have a U-Haul like dealership or something? Is that something you kind of take over? And
I mean, essentially, supposedly what they did is they set up like contactless U-Haul rental, but I mean, the truth of the matter is that whenever I talk to anybody about them doing U-Haul, like it's more work than what they make.
right.
All right. So like, we don't do U-Haul because first of all, we do want to be completely virtual. And you have to have somebody that's really managing that, like site to site. And also go on to Google and just in your area, just type in U-Haul and see how many
Okay.
U-Hauls in your area there are. Because I can
Absolutely.
guarantee you there's like a million.
I'm sure there's probably not contracts or anything like that. So if you bought it, you could probably just shut it down, right?
Oh yeah, no, like there's just like, you just cancel. Like if you buy it and they're doing it, then you just cancel. Like you're just, I'm
Okay.
not doing it. Yeah, and I said this in the boot camp this past weekend that like I just get hounded so much about U-Haul that I just like I just can't do it, and and I just think there's way too many U-Hauls out there, and they're all the trucks are always just sitting in your property. If you have places to park your U-Haul, why don't you just put a place to park a car there? I mean, a boat or an RV, and make $75 a lane on that a month.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, U-Haul for me is, and we talked about this in the boot camp, the insurance, like we take insurance and we get a little bit of money from insurance, from tenant insurance, but the insurance is just a click. It's like, oh, you want insurance? Sure, you got it. You have click, 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 right? Whereas like U-Haul, it's like paperwork and like keys and management, and it's like a whole local on Dropbox thing. And it's just like, it's really a lot to manage. And especially you, if you're going to be like 3 hours away, like how are you going to manage that?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, good. All right. Well, Shannon, you have a question.
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so I wanted to mention, you kind of already mentioned it, about the 36 unit doing the RV and boat storage. So you could do that. That would be a possibility. Like if you had a smaller facility like that, then you could offer that as well.
Well, actually, the one that Matt's looking at is we think it may be boat and RV storage. Now, the difference is that with like the price per square foot on a boat and RV storage is half of what it would be on a storage facility, on like
Okay.
like actual real units of a storage facility. So price per square foot for like a 10 by 10 unit on average, to say across the country, is like 60 cents a square foot. And then for boat and RV, it would be like 30 cents a square foot, something like that, or 20, right? So that's why, I mean, especially doing covered parking, like, as you think about, when you think about storage, you have like, for boat and RV parking, you have like a piece of land and it's just like, all right, go park over there. And there's no covered parking at all. That for me, you would have like the lowest price per square foot. And then the next level up would be like open covered parking, right? And that'd be like the next level up price per square foot. And then after that, you would have like covered, enclosed parking, which is what Matt's place looked like, was a completely enclosed parking place. And you should have the higher price per square foot. And then what I've been seeing now is like even covered parking with like electric, where you could plug your thing in and just have it charging and ready to go at all times. And that I've seen up to upwards of like $300 a month, right? So there's different levels of parking. And so then you have to look at like, what is the price per square foot in that area for the market and typical prices and stuff, So really, everybody's like thinks that boat and RV parking is awesome. And I like boat and RV parking too, but essentially at the same time, the price per square foot for boat and RV parking is typically usually half of what it is for like covered storage. And the reason why is because covered storage is like, anywhere from like probably around $35 a square foot right now to build storage. Whereas like if you do opened RV parking, it'd be probably like $10 to $15 a square foot, probably around $15 a square foot. So obviously you can't charge the same amount of money per square foot when it's like open parking versus completely enclosed parking or storage.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Makes sense? Okay, good. Okay, good. Awesome, awesome questions. I love it. Now, I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out tonight. I'll be back on track next week, and I'll do some more stuff, do some more teaching and everything. But after this 2-day boot camp, I just can't think very much. I just can't think. So so I figured I would just ramble a little bit about one of my student skills that we just went over today. And like I said, don't discredit owner financing. Everybody should be asking owners or talking to owners about whether or not they do want to owner finance, but sometimes owner financing doesn't make sense. Even if you do pay extra money, even if you do have to pay, if you get owner financing, even if it's a little bit more, maybe it might not make sense. Now I saw somebody's asking cap rate calculator. Yeah, exactly. What cap rate calculator do we use? Easy Cap Rate Calculator is an app on your phone. So if you need to run the cap rate, just download an app called Cap Rate Calculator. All right, easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, and that's it. I think that's basically it. I'll be back next Monday, and I was going to say what else. The wait list, so Storage Nerds coaching program is now closed. Right, it's not going to open until 2022 again. But you can go to stacyrossetti.com/waitlist. All right. And that, I think it's waitlist. I don't know what it is. We'll post it out in the group. Make sure you guys are also in storagenerds.com, the Facebook group, so you can get messages on educational stuff or whatever. But yeah, so the wait list is now, you can get on the wait list is what you can do, and then just get notified the next time that we open up our doors. All right. And then if in the meantime, if you guys, like anybody here that's not a member of Storage Nerds, you can always buy my course. It's called Super Simple Self-Storage. All right. And that'll take you through every department and all the different things. Okay. So, and so in the meantime, if you're like, I really want to learn how to invest in self-storage, but like Stacy's program is not open, then you could just buy the course. All right. So go to stacyrossetti.com and click on online courses for that. Okay. Super Simple Self-Storage. All right. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and all my students. I will see y'all at the next session. Okay. Take care.